Is the 2024 presidential election even worth voting in?
Donald Trump actually has
Kamala
no
Harris
plan
and
for
Crooked
you
Joe
because he is more
have
interested in
driven
defending
our
himself
economy off a
than he is
cliff.
in looking out for
And
you.
if she gets 4 more years, your family is you're never gonna recover from these stupid people.
Welcome to the Next Level Vibe. I'm RJ and I'm here with a few esteemed guests who are election voters.
My name is Darius.
I'm Kiara.
I'm CJ.
And today we're here to talk about the election, with that being tomorrow. I have a few questions for them. All right, so my first question for y'all today is, do either of the two major parties faithfully represent their constituents, or do they have other interests?
I think with the current issues that are most important today, I think that each party is represented perfectly clear. You have one candidate who is for our rights, especially being a woman and just a Black woman, a part of the African American community, and then you have the other candidate who is just making it clear that he wants us to go back to slavery, basically. So, you know.
Yeah, I agree basically on what she said, how, certain candidates, they each have their own agendas. So, each candidate may feel some kind of way on specific topics, but, that may not really be how they feel. Like, all of a sudden now both parties support the legalization of marijuana when a couple of years ago, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Now they do because it's of public interest.
Yeah, not only
So,
that, but I feel like they're trying to engage more with the teenagers, the college students to vote. Like the people that's young and able to vote, they want their votes, so they're gonna legalize weed because that's what they was getting arrested for.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody knows about Kamala Harris's past kind of thing, so it's like arresting people for smoking weed. That's what she's trying to, I guess, come back off of, because people heard about that. But you gotta take in consideration, like, she was also a judge at the time, so she gotta facilitate the situation, what's going on in that moment. So I feel like people haven't really thought about that, I guess.
What do y'all feel like some of their other interests may be? Like, I know we feel like they may have other interests other than just representing us as a people, but what do y'all feel some of their other interests may be? Starting with Darius.
Ooh. Well, I haven't done much research on their other interests, but based off of like things from the past, let's say money. The candidates just doing things with like oil companies and stuff outside of the states, and the pure goal of gaining more money. Some candidates might just be after the money. Some might really be in it for for the people and unity and all that, but not everybody. Not really.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Nah, for real. Yeah, so my second question for you guys is voting once every 4 years for the presidential election real political engagement? You can start with Darius.
I say definitely not. Definitely not, because, from the moment that person gets elected in, they can make all kinds of decisions that didn't have anything to do with what they said during the race.
Yeah.
And, that 4-year period where the people's votes or what they say doesn't matter, and you have to wait every 4 years, that's just inefficient to me.
Yeah. That's not true.
I mean, I kind of disagree, but I also agree with you at the same time, because we need some sort of structure. And it's been like that, like voting for a president every 4 years, and even if they want to do another 4 years, it's been that way since George Washington became president. So I think it provides some sort of structure. But I think that we can't like, of course, each candidate is going to say something that gets them into office. Like, they're not going to do everything they say while they're running. But, like, you have to be able, like, it's a level of consistency and structure. So, I mean, in a way it is to me. But then I also agree, like, on your take with it, like, you know, so.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with her. Like, the structure needs to be there. We need some type of timeline to marinate with one president, because if you do it like, 2 years for one president being in office and we got to vote again, it kind of gives a little rocky road on the citizens. Like, okay, so we got to vote again after these 2 years. Like, who else is gonna, provide that same type of stability in the country than before?
And there's not that many qualified candidates, to be picking a new president every 2 years.
It could definitely be a lot to keep up with too, with it happening every 4 years and other elections in between. We all have other lives too.
Right.
But I feel like as people of this country, I feel like we should at least engage politically and make that interest to go out and figure out what's going on, because this is society we're living in today. So it's always important to do your own research and things of that nature. But so going to the next question, how do y'all feel about third-party candidates such as Jill Stein and the Green Party?
I didn't know there was a Green Party, I'm not gonna lie.
That's how it is, man.
I don't even know who Jill Stein
That's why we need to do our research.
I feel like the only candidates that matter are the candidates that are clearly running. We have a black woman for the first time, not only just women, but black woman running for president. I think that's important. And then you also have someone who is also trying to go back to a time in history where our ancestors had to work so hard just to even give us our rights today to vote. So those are the only two candidates that matter. Like I said, I don't know about all the other ones, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I respect it, because
like, if I was to think about them other candidates, that wouldn't affect me, if that makes sense. The only things that affect me right now is the people that's gonna have more jurisdiction than them. Because in that moment, when they're in office, we have either the option to go forward or to move back, and we don't want to take a step back because we already know how it was back in the day. We want to keep moving forward, and we already have been moving forward. We had a black male president, and we had what's her name? She was Michelle Obama was also like a black lady that was in office. Then we have somebody in the chair that was a black woman as well. So I feel like having a black woman as president, it's not like black women are not capable of being president. Yes, she's more than capable. She has done more capabilities than Donald Trump ever have, if we really gonna be honest. If you think about her track record, she has been put on a spot where she has to prove how like serious she is about her role.
And I feel like it's that season too for real, because like the women are coming up in the society, to be honest. Like I feel like it's always been male presidents, and like that's just a sign, an indication that like it's time for things to change.
It's no longer a patriarchal, if that's how you pronounce the word, society. So.
I definitely agree with that. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
Not really. I was just saying I like that. It really is time for a change. It's time for the U.S. to explore some new ideas, as in a woman president. It's about time.
So like, it was something that was on my mind with the last question for real. Like the voting once every 4 years for political engagement for the presidential election. So like along the lines of that, how do y'all feel about like the whole system of like the government system that has been set up and given to us since after slavery? Like we fought to vote and become a part of this system that we didn't create. Like how do y'all feel about that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a really good. Well, I'm gonna go first. Consider this. Other people can come to the U.S. from out of the U.S., like say they live anywhere, the UK, anywhere. They can come here and vote. Did we really get anything?
But they have to become a citizen first, and I know people that have been here for years and still can't vote.
Just because they're not a citizen.
And the processes.
I think it's a bit, I was talking to someone about this the other day. Like, I think it's kind of crazy, like, when you spoke about people can come from other countries and they can live here and they can pay taxes. They can do all these things that we as American citizens do, but they can't vote. Like, I personally have 2 friends that are Jamaican, and I'm texting them like, did you guys vote? They're like, can't vote because I'm not a citizen. And I'm like, oh, but you work here, you pay taxes, you pay rent, you pay all these things, but you can't vote because you're not a citizen. So I just personally think that, you know, with the laws and like the way the government is ran, they're running it how it was ran years ago when this whole like system first was created. And it's just a time for change personally, because as time goes on and you progress, you have to make changes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
What about you?
I definitely feel like people who come from out of country here, it's like they have more of a hard road to try to like either fit in or to try to get jobs, try to get opportunities. And once they do, it's an even longer process to be able to vote for who's going to be watching over you, watching over your kids. That's basically what's going on.
Yeah.
Once somebody becomes president, they have jurisdiction on where, okay, your children can learn this in school, and they can't learn this in school, okay? And then, yeah, so it's like having that, like I know some Hispanic like friends and stuff like that, that they have family members that still can't vote, and they've been here for like 15, 20 years, or some of them was born out of the country, but they moved here real young, so they grew up here and they still can't vote. So that's really crazy.
Yeah, and to like feed off of that last question that I had asked, well, just to give you guys a little bit of information about things that have happened in the past. So, before we came here, when we were before we were even slaves, we obviously lived and we had government societies. We had our own things going on. But one of the problems I feel with today's society is all of that is gone. Like, we don't even know how we ran anything, because if you think about it, the way things happen in like timeline, chronological order, we were oppressed. We weren't able to have our own religions or systems. We were fighting to be a part of their system. So all you gotta do is your research. I'm not gonna tell you everything on this podcast today, but I'm just trying to tell you a little so you could get the curiosity to try to figure these things out on your own and try to make a difference.
Yeah, people watching this, go out and do some research on these candidates yourself. Don't
don't just take my word for everything.
Yeah, don't get all your information from media outlets or Instagram posts or Twitter posts, which is actually really crazy.
Yeah.
Don't believe anything on Twitter.
Yeah. I would also say, like, just remember, like, it's in the history books in which they don't want us to see and like learn about. America was built on a lie, and that's why, like, if you go, like, I know when I was in school, like, all I learned about was like the white history. No offense to anybody, you know, Christopher Columbus. All of the holidays, essentially, like, Juneteenth just became a holiday not too long ago. So, like my fellow peer said, like, go out, do your research, and learn for yourself. It's always important to actually want to learn from yourself, for yourself, versus listening to what other people say. Because not everybody knows what they're talking about.
Going to learn for yourselves, like, you can't just hear what somebody else is saying. You gotta open a book sometimes.
Yeah, definitely agree. Another thing is, like, with this podcast, we want to be able to open doors for like people with curiosity to, you know, deep dive into their history, deep dive into what they don't know and they want to know, because they don't really show that a lot in some schools. It's really public schools that try to, you know what I'm saying, sneak it in the curriculum. That I've seen a lot, because I'm from North Philly, so, you know what I'm saying, I had like some teachers, some social studies teachers that were black, and they would try to bring in like books and stuff for us to understand like how our past really was, compared to what's force feeding us from like private schools and like big universities and stuff like that.
And if y'all want a history lesson or something of that nature, just put in the comments. Let us know what y'all want the next episodes to see, what y'all want to see on the next episodes, and we can just make that happen for y'all, because we are doing this for you. That's it.
Hey, next level
it.
vibes. Next level vibes.
Did it again.